of May 15th, 2023 to order. And if you would please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carrie, could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Shippers.
Here.
Ellenboss. Ingalls.
Here.
King. Mayor Filkins.
Here. And at this time, if we could get a motion to approve the agenda as it's been amended.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add a recommendation regarding bird control at the marketplace under City Manager's Report, item 7-C.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
King. Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, we'll open the floor for our first public comment this evening. We do ask if you come forward that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. State your name for the clerk and then write your name and address for the clerk. And also, I wanted to let you know this evening that we do have three public hearings. If you want to talk about one of those hearings, we are going to have public comment during each one of those hearings. So that would be the appropriate time for you to come to the podium for those.
My name's Dan Glenn. Couple things. I'd like to see the police starting to patrol Mitchell more. I get passed with people going 35, 40 mile an hour down Mitchell, and especially here on Pine Street. Second thing is, I have a dog that I take up to the dog park. There's homeless people living up there. Last year there was homeless people living here in City Hall parking lot, and would like to have the dog park graded out that's not so bumpy. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and move to the approval of the consent agenda. And this evening, we do have the minutes from our regular meeting that was held on May 1st, and also the minutes from the closed session that was held on May 1st, 2023.
I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Councilmember Ingalls.
Yes.
King. Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, so with that, that will take us to our public hearings for this evening. Marcus, would you like to introduce those?
Very briefly, yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The first two public hearings are with respect to the pending adjustments to both our water and sewer rates. We have one final presentation that will cover both of those adjustments. This has been something that's been discussed now several times publicly with the City Council over the last month or so. Our Finance Director, Owen Roberts, if you could step up to the plate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to combine the next two public hearings, as Marcus said, into one. I'm just going to do this one time. We are a combined system. We account for it in one fund, so there's no need to kind of be repetitive on the information. There will be, as you know, the two separate hearings because it's two separate ordinances, but we'll just do this one time. So as we go through here, I think an important thing to keep in mind from the beginning is the system is in solid condition financially, infrastructure-wise, and I think what we're going to talk about tonight can be a difficult discussion, but I think the commitment is to try and keep it there, right? So that's why we take a look at these things, and hopefully we'll kind of demonstrate tonight that this is not just a a decision made off the cuff or on the fly, but it is very analytical and justified, and so that can I think help frame the discussion a little bit. So overall, the water and sewer fund, again, it's a combined fund. So for the two systems, the fiscal year 24 budget is just under $5.3 million. So I don't want to kind of bury the lead here. So we'll start right off with what the proposal is, and then we'll talk about kind of the justification and then the impact, because we do recognize it is important to understand and to talk about the impact of these rate changes each and every year. So that 5% increase will be applied across both of the water and the sewer system and all related user charges. This will generate about $200,000 in revenue if the usage is the same versus what is currently going to come in for the current fiscal year. We have budgeted this year. Again, the budget is not just balanced, but we have budgeted for a small surplus. And all surplus funds, again, are very much restricted to use within the water and sewer system. They can be invested into the system or help offset future costs within the system. Starting out with a little bit of a history of where we've been over the last 15 years or so, you can see what has happened with rates. A pretty regular series of addressing the water and sewer rates. 4 out of 6 years, back from 2013 to 2018, there was a 0% increase. With then you can kind of see sometimes in 10 to 12, and then as we prepared to do both phase 1 and phase 2 of the well field, where some other rate adjustments were made. I think it's important to remember that. I also think as we look at what inflation has done, we're simply trying to keep ourselves as close as we can to kind of keeping up with that. June 21 CPI for the year was 5.4%. June of 22 is 9.1%. And then the latest release of April 23 was 4.9%. So if you kind of compare those to where we've been for the last 3 years, we really have not kept up with inflation. We've been below inflation, and I think that's been intentional, as you'll see here coming up in a future slide. One of the other challenges, I think, to throw out there, in reading a little bit about some commercial price inflationary pressure, there's one commercial construction inflation number where the average inflation index in 2022 compared to 2021 was up 15.7%, and that's 1 year change, and that's commercial construction, which that drives a lot of the costs for our infrastructure and building construction that we have to do in the system. So that's where we stand as it relates. And again, we present the average for the last 15 years for the water system has been 3.5%. And the sewer system, just a little bit less than that at 2.8%. Talking a little bit more just about justification, what happens with these funds? So we are under some cost pressures really that we haven't seen in the last number of years as far as inflation goes. For the last few years, that construction inflation index that we talked about, that was up 15.7% as of the end of last year. Utilities cost, gas and electric primarily in these systems. And I think importantly then, it's our collective commitment to properly manage these systems. And part of that proper management is to make the updates and the upgrades as necessary as we kind of come together and try to proactively raise these funds just to be reinvested back into the system. We've presented these benchmarks for you for a number of years. This first slide presents that the city's water and sewer rates, as of the last study, the most recent study was in 2021 by Gosling Zubeck Engineering Services. This survey, where there was 47 responding municipal water systems in the northern lower peninsula and eastern upper peninsula. Cadillac was the 6th lowest in terms of rates out of those 47 responding municipal water systems, and the 11th lowest of the 48 responding sewer systems. So in that study, the typical combined water and sewer bill was $73.75 per month, while Cadillac's combined typical water and sewer bill was just $44.72 per month, which was 39% below the typical bill, and that's of the study. Again, northern lower peninsula, eastern upper peninsula, 47 water systems, 48 sewer systems. This next chart looks the same. What I did was I just compared our last 3 years, so it'd be fiscal year 22, 23, 24, and applied our rate adjustments that we've made for these 3 years to our rates only. Left everything else the same. In that case, instead of being 6th lowest out of 47 on the water, we were 10th lowest. And again, that's if none of the other systems did anything and we only applied ours, just for some context. And again, the 18th lowest out of 48 instead of the 11th lowest out of 48 on the sewer side. So this would have brought our typical water and sewer bill to $50.78. Which would still be over 30%, about 31% below the typical bill as represented in the survey. So again, just for context, it's not just because we're low, we should go higher, but I think it's just context that this still keeps us very favorable compared to other systems in our region. The other thing that we have just undergone is a comprehensive rate study. This study was performed by Municipal Analytics out of Ann Arbor, and they did 2 things for us. First, they programmed a bunch of our information and applied their expertise to a software system that we can use in the future to make these projections, and then they performed what they're good at, and that's an analysis of our system and where we're at in terms of rates. They use our CIP inputs, and then collectively between Mr. Kaiser and staff, kind of reaching consensus on where we see inflationary costs, inflationary pressures impacting costs as we project those into the future. So based on these inputs, to meet our costs and our CIP investment needs, he did affirm the need for the 5% water and sewer increases. And then looking out into the future, at least for the next 6 years, which is our CIP period, recommending just a flat series of regular rate increases. And again, this is based on our capital and trying to just smooth out these things, not necessarily have big dips and drops in what we're doing, but just to present a series of level types of rate pressures. Now, we did go out a little bit farther. It gets very kind of hypothetical beyond that point. We don't have CIP data out that far, so we're using flat numbers. And again, it just continues to reinforce the need for those regular looks at rates. And at the same time, we do the same thing for costs. I think we heard Mr. Kaiser describe for us really some systems that he's worked with where they didn't address infrastructure needs and rate changes systematically and regularly, and he's seeing the need for I think the number he mentioned was 25% and even up to 50% rate changes, and that's something that we're really trying to work hard to avoid. Talking about the impact now. So 90% of our users are either residential or have a residential sized meter. And the impact on these 90% of our customers is about $2.64 per month total combined for water and sewer with the 5% rate adjustment applied to current average usage. So I think an important question for us to answer for the majority of our users, the 90% with this type of meter, what are you going to do with my money, right? And I think that's our job to try and answer that question well as we present this kind of proposal to you as decision makers. And I think one of the things that we can say with confidence, and I've put numbers up there to this for you, is we do what we say we're going to do with the money. We say we're going to reinvest it into the system. We say we're going to manage the system. In the last 5 fiscal years, our cash investments, so that's non-borrowing, the things that we've invested in, about $1.25 million in system infrastructure, and just short of $700,000 in vehicles and equipment that's necessary to provide that ongoing maintenance. So if you add those two up, that's just under $2 million in the last 5 years. And so $400,000 a year of cash that we've raised. Our only source of revenue really is user charges, and we do continue to invest that back into the system. So I think these numbers demonstrate that we do with the money what we say that we're going to do with the money, and I think that's important as we talk about impacting our users by $2.64 a month. To recap, to finish up here before we move to the public hearing portion, again, our proposal of 5%, and I think that's affirmed by our rate study. It's demonstrated with a rate comparison survey that we're still on the low end of that scale as it relates to similar systems in our region, and I think that is important when you start talking about where people may want to locate, right? And it's also affirmed by our system needs. We do have our 6-year CIP that is a part of this rate analysis, and I think that's good data to have. We need to make continual reinvestments into the system. Asset management plans that we have in place, the capital improvement program that we do each year, we take those processes very, very seriously, especially as we kind of come down to having to present to you a decision like you're faced with tonight. And again, our commitment, our long-term protection of the mission of the system, and I think that's something that we're all collectively very committed to as we've been part of these discussions. But I think that's very important to reiterate. You know, the mission of these systems, deliver safe, clean drinking water and safe and effective and efficient water treatment. And you can't do that by burying your head in the sand and ignoring the ongoing maintenance and regular investment into these systems. Instead of reading about Cadillac in the headlines of something traumatic happening in one of our systems, we get to read headlines like best drinking water in the state, and I think there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. We've made some difficult yet regular and ongoing systematic decisions like that, and I think our council's to be commended for making those kinds of decisions. So I'm going to sit down. We'll be happy to obviously answer any questions as we have them.
Okay, so at this time, we'll go ahead and open the public comment portion of the hearing. And if you'd like to come forward, again, if you would state your name and then write your name and address for the clerk, it would be greatly appreciated. And this is just in regards to the water rates.
Hi, my name is Bob Walters. I live here in Cadillac. I've been here most of my life. You want me to do this now?
Sure.
I'd like to bring up the fact that a while ago I looked at my water bill and I saw an RTS. So I had to ask what it is. It's right to service. That means I'm being charged just for the line to be in front of the house. They don't do anything to it, but I'm paying every month because it's there. In my place, it comes to about $150 a year. I looked online. It says there's 4,430 habitable houses in the city of Cadillac. Each one is paying at least that, maybe more. That's a lot of money in a year's time. It's roughly, I think, somewhere around $1 million. I didn't hear that gentleman mention that amount of money or where it's coming from. And I think that with that amount of money coming in, and businesses and factories were not included in that figure of 4,000. So there's a lot of money that I didn't hear mentioned. So maybe we don't need that increase. I am happy with the water and sewer that I have, and it's fine, but I'm not sure we need an increase. RTS is a hidden figure. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kelly McCann. I'm in the 3rd Ward, and I'm here to ask you to please not do 5%. You know, if you could do 2% or 3% every year, you know, I can understand that. But 5%, you know, year after year after year is hard on people. And even in your own document, you know, for your budget, you admit that 51% of the population of Cadillac has income that's low or moderate. So these kind of situations, you know, I understand what Mr. Owen's saying, and it makes, you know, perfect sense. But there's also just a human factor to consider. And there was something else I wanted to say about that, but I didn't realize that the water system is paid solely by customers. So if that's true, perhaps because we've had, you know, so many infrastructure problems with the water wells in the industrial park and having to get new ones, and perhaps it's time to budget some money for the water department so that these increases can be mitigated. But basically, that's what I'm asking you to do, is not do 5%, because I think it's too high. Thanks.
My name is Duncan Cluso. I'm here to, first of all, thank you for your service to the city. I've been elected city council member before in the community and know the time and commitment it takes. I want to thank you for that. I'm here to speak in favor of the increase. I think, you know, the first principle of being fiscally conservative and responsible is taking care of what you have. And I feel like this study indicates what needs to happen in the city to make sure that we take care of what we have, which is very good right now. And so I want to thank you for that. But again, I'm here to ask you to vote in favor of the resolution tonight.
Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and move to discussion amongst the council if anybody has any questions or needs any clarification.
I would like to see if Mr. Roberts could, or Jeff could talk about the right to service charge.
Yeah, so I can bring a financial answer into it, and then if Jeff wants to add anything, I'm just kind of wrapping up, updating the number right now.
The acronym.
So,
Ready to serve.
yep,
Ready to serve.
readiness to serve charge. So that's charged against every meter, and what that really is designed to do, you know, there are certain costs that if we shut down our system today, we would still have some obligations. So we would still have debt that we've committed to pay. We would still have closure costs, cleanup costs, lots of different things like that. And so a readiness to serve charge is designed to help you so that if usage went to zero, really. In the interim, while you figured things out, you can still make the obligations that the system has committed to make. So we do make, now it's up to about $1.3 million in readiness to serve charges, which is about 25% of our revenue. But that's below even what our annual principal and interest total debt service would be. And so really that revenue is designed to protect you with the fixed obligations that you've committed to make, versus utilization that could go up and down no matter what. So that's the purpose of those. So we get about 25% of our revenue from those readiness to serve charges, and we've had those as part of the system for a long time, and that's kind of the purpose of those.
Okay, so asking further for that, so that amount is factored into what we need to operate annually, correct?
That's part of the overall budget, yes. And the annual increases are applied against both readiness to serve charges and the commodity charges of the water and the sewer treatment. Yes, yep.
And this is a common practice for other municipalities, other people that serve water and sewer, correct?
Yes, very common, yep.
Well, and I think also the revenue that Owen had said, 5.3 million, about that included the readiness to serve fee.
Oh,
Yes.
So it's all in, when we talk water and sewer, it's all in the same fund. We don't break out ready to serve and commodities on separate ones. That's all the same final amount.
Thank you.
The other quick clarification, if I may, is that all of the revenues that go towards the operations of the water and sewer system come from those commodity charges, the rates, as well as the ready-to-serve fee. None of it comes actually from property taxes that we all pay as residents of the city. And so it operates as a separate system from how the rest of the city is funded.
And that's by statute, correct?
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
I just wanted to make 2 points, I guess, because I do plan on supporting the rate increase. One of the justifications being that, inflation is very high, and a 5% rate seems to be barely keeping up with that rate. And the other thing, like Kelly said, another note, when we were in our CIP meeting, I believe, we talked about using COVID money, which would be, money that is basically general fund money, to using some of that for our improvements to offset some of these rate increases. So that is something that we have discussed, that we're looking into with that particular pile of money. So that was it.
My turn. 2 quick articles and a comment. Councilperson King couldn't be here today, and he wanted me to read his statement for him. I am unable to attend the council meeting of Monday, May 15, 2023 for health reasons. However, I felt it was important to make a statement on my individual thoughts regarding any rate increases for the City of Cadillac sewer and water rates for 2023-24. I have reviewed the slide presentation that was sent to all council members by our manager, Marcus Pisha. I think it is important to first note some of the comment on the 4th slide of the presentation that states that the city's overall utility systems are healthy. Then on page 6 of the slides, it is indicated that operating costs are forecasted to increase by an average of 3.5% per year. This is simply a forecast. However, it is important in being fiscally responsible in maintaining our water and sewer systems that we minimally keep up with the operating cost per year. As slide 7 indicates, we do have cash reserves which help us moderate increases in some years. I think this is important because we need to not overburden our citizens with substantial tax increases every year. As we have a duty to maintain our water and sewer systems for a healthy community, we also have a duty to be fiscally responsible and not simply raise rates and build reserves which are not necessary when we already have good reserve. If a modest rate increase in a specific year is too low to cover the increased cost, we can adjust at that time. We do not have to vote for a substantial increase in a vacuum, which may not be needed and places an unnecessary burden on our citizens. It is for all these reasons that I will be willing to consider a rate increase of approximately 3%, knowing that there are funds available for us to be able to adjust and lessen the burden on our citizens. I would absolutely be against any increase over 3.5% or beyond at this point. Thus, I would not support the recommended rate increase of 5% for each water and sewer respectively at this time, based on the information, that has been provided to council. And one more quick comment. One more letter. I received this email today. Dear Brian, I am unable to attend the meeting tonight as I am bedridden, but I'm so worried as my bill is over $60 every month and I do not even run a washing machine. I send my laundry out. Please help us. The attachment added means in 3 years I'll be paying 30% more, meaning close to $80 a month. Don't know how it is legal to raise both water and sewer. That last one should touch home to anybody. I mean, the Bunce shippers crew are the most caring people in this town. And this is some of the people that are being affected by steady increases, is the ones that are financially unable to keep up. So I would agree with Steve. I would vote for a 3%, but 5%, no, absolutely not. So, I mean, let's have some concern for this person, the people in this town that are having a hard time making ends meet. So, and those are the ones that you're not thinking of, that I never see. So, somebody's got to speak, so I will. Your turn. Thank you.
Well, I would just say that, early on when I first started serving as mayor, we went 3 years without ever making an increase in the rates. And then that following year, we made an increase. And then the next year, we didn't make an increase. And I don't know I think you all remember the slide that Owen showed. Following up that 4 years, 4 out of 5 years, we didn't have an increase because we were thinking that way. And not from a business perspective of maintaining our capital investment, maintaining our infrastructure, and protecting the people here in Cadillac of anything catastrophically that could happen that we're not prepared for. And so, that was a study that was done by an organization that's their business. That's what they do. And they don't know Cadillac any better than they know, some of their other big clients, or vice versa. They know Cadillac just as well as they know their other clients. And they're professionals. And their recommendation to us was 5%. So that we don't end up in a year where we have to come back to the public and say, well, we didn't do a 5% increase last year, and we didn't do a 5% increase the next year because we were thinking just with our hearts. And so I personally, I have to support the specialists who we asked to take a look at our financial situation and how we have invested in ourselves. We asked for their recommendation, and that's what they gave us. And so I'm going to support that recommendation, not in being unsupportive to the citizens of Cadillac, but being supportive and protecting us from years of a 15 or 20% increase because something happens and we weren't prepared for it.
So I have a question. I don't know if anybody knows this. In cases of hardship, like the email that Brian received today, Are there any kind of, is there any course for somebody like that to get any kind of support or relief or help if things become untenable for someone? Is that available in the community, and how would someone access that?
May I also just add on to what she just said that I'd like you to speak to? We don't shut people's water off. Wait.
Oh, geez.
Would you explain
I've
the
been there.
program?
Don't be
Would you explain the program as it exists? It's not an automatic shut off.
Right,
Thank you.
correct.
You get a warning,
What
but they won't shut it off.
What we have in the community, there's, the state can help with that, the Department of Health can help with those, and then we have several local organizations that help us, Salvation Army, Love Inc. There's a whole bunch I'm probably forgetting, but there are organizations you can go and ask for help when you can't pay your utility bill. In utilities, right now, let's say it's May, so if we would shut somebody off in May, this is water you used in January that you're getting shut off in May for. So you used it in January, February you got a bill, you didn't pay it at the end of February, so you got March, April, now you're in May. So you're 4 to 5 months behind. Every month we send another bill. We finally send a letter that says, hey, you're going to be shut off, please contact us, we can make arrangements. The people, a lot of people call and we'll make arrangements, and our arrangements are now you're a bit behind, but as long as you're making progress on the bill, we're happy that but if you say I want to pay $1 a month, you're just going to fall farther and farther behind. So it's got to be something that you make progress on, and if you call us, we'll accept those promises. If you don't call us, we haven't heard from you, we don't know what's happened, and we will shut off a person to enforce payment at that point. But it's, again, 5 months you're behind, 4 to 5 months you haven't paid. It's longer than you can go with cable, it's longer than you can go with phones, gas, electric. It's out there quite a bit, and as soon as a person calls us and makes that plan, we will, keep their water on.
Do you know, Jeff, how many are on the list currently approximately? Is it about 30?
Every month we'll probably send out, I'll call them 100 of these reminders, and they'll come down to about 20 people that will be on the actual shut-off list, because the other 80 people call us. And then other than that, we have the other 4,000 citizens that are paying regularly. So it's it's like 20 out of the 4,000 a month that we have to maybe shut them off. But like I said, if they call us and we make plans, they stay on. And then we actually allow them to change that plan. Once they're on the plan, stuff happens, you can call us, you can change it. We have some procedures and some rules we follow like that. So you're not changing it all the time, but we allow flexibility in that plan. So people will I'll pay $75 every other week, and then they say, I can't make it this week. Can we, skip a week? Yeah, sure. As long as you keep us informed, we can help you out. It's the people that they don't call us. For whatever reason, they don't contact us.
How many did you shut off last month?
I think less than 20. Again, 20 is a good number. Sometimes it's a little higher, sometimes it's a little less, but 20 would be a good number every month of people that we have to nudge them. And then, usually at that point, we'll give them all the information of this places I have said that can help. A lot of times they'll go to those places, get the help. They'll actually get paid the last 4 or 5 months that they're behind. Will be paid up to current. So then they get a break for 4 or 5 months that they can, stay on their feet and get going again. So,
Council, we have cards as well that are available for access to information for all sorts of help, whether it's financial help, substance abuse, budgeting, family needs. They're available at our police department, but it's the normal agencies that I think you would all know of: Northern Michigan Community Action Agency, Salvation Army, some of the churches, and there's also a 211 system that frankly automates all of it. So people could just call 211 And then that agency will get you directly to the assistance that you would need. We don't keep track whether any of those agencies have surplus of funds or not. That's not our role, but we're happy to network people to get a hold of those groups if they need it, regardless of what the situation might be.
Thank you.
I also know that I understand that how it could be a hardship, and I'm looking at our rates are still so reasonable. I mean, they're low compared to any other community. You know, you move out of town north and you're going to be paying more than we are here or west or whatever. And it is essential. It is essential. I know to budget a 5% increase is easier for myself, who's on a fixed income as a retired person, than to have something happen and we have to all of a sudden spike an increase. Didn't we have a huge increase when we had to put in the new water? And that's harder to budget for. If we have a crisis, these things, the fact that we invest in and maintain our system makes it continuously affordable for all of us. And if we don't do that, however difficult it is, and I do not like to vote for rate increases, not just for myself, but for my community. But to not do that would be irresponsible. It would be like telling your kid, go ahead, have ice cream for dinner, because I know that you'd rather do that. And I know that's kind of a stupid analogy, but in order to keep a system that is at the top of the line, that we can all count on all the time, we have to invest in it. And costs are going up. Everything goes up, and I know everyone is experiencing that at the grocery store, at all of our bills are going up. And this is a small increase. I mean, if 5% sounds like a lot, it's what, $2 a month, right? $2 a month?
How many
something
years?
a month.
Time, how many years?
If I can just add on to Councilmember Shippers, what you're talking about, if we look at some of the neighbors within Wexford County, you know, they're going to be before the state of Michigan looking for a multi-million-dollar special appropriation due to a failed sanitary system. And the reason why that system is in the condition that it's in isn't because of the current folks that are controlling it, but it's the folks that they originally or rather inherited it from, where it did not have the necessary maintenance and operations and upkeep to it over many years. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. The consultant was comfortable with that 5% adjustment number. His study justified that, if not even more. But we were comfortable looking at that number as well, in order to make sure that we don't find ourselves having to look at double or triple digit, adjustments, because that would really, not that this doesn't impact people, it certainly does. It impacts me as well, like everybody else. But having double digit adjustments or even triple digit adjustments, which could happen, is what we're trying desperately to avoid.
Those kind of scare tactics don't work. I mean, you're bringing up this place. No, let me talk.
But it's not a scare tactic.
I thought that. Let me talk.
Okay. Well,
I gotta be quiet for these
Councilmember, I'm
two.
trying to be factual.
Okay.
So
What happened here has no relevance for here. We don't care what somebody's paying over there. We're talking about this system and this rate increase right now. The kind of scare tactics comparing that, or the system failed in this city. And I am positive, and I'll argue with you, Cardinal, until the cows come home, that we could take a year off and our system would be fine. If something catastrophic happened, the 5% wouldn't cover it anyway. We'd be back here asking for more money at that point. I'm just disappointed that you have no concern, it seems, for the people. It's just, and you don't like voting yes on taxes, but you have every time. Every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like you. I
Okay.
still like you.
Okay,
if I
So-
may, Councilmember Ellenboss, if the system were to take a catastrophic hit, you're absolutely right. We would need to come back to city council to look at an adjustment in order to make, those ends meet, to close that gap. What we're trying to avoid is if that should happen, instead of the gap, and I don't know what the gap could be, but let's just pretend for a moment that the gap is would require a 10% adjustment. If we took a year off, it might require a 15% adjustment instead of a 10% adjustment. Or maybe it could be a 5% adjustment instead of a 10% adjustment. I'm just trying to throw that out. And that's where we're at philosophically. And ultimately, this is a policy decision. All that staff can do is provide you guys with the best recommendation for maintaining the system. If city council wishes to, go left and we're saying go right, that's okay. I mean, we're not going to get upset about it, but that's the different, that's the sort of divide between, administration versus policy. And so all we're trying to do is provide you guys with the best amount of information for justifying the recommendation that we're making tonight. And ultimately what the board does with it is up to you guys. So I don't know if there's anything more that Owen or Jeff want to add to the conversation on administration side.
Marcus,
No. Yeah.
your last story, ifs and pretends.
I'm sorry?
Ifs and pretends.
Ifs.
The two words that I caught when you were telling your last story was if and pretend, which don't mean anything.
I'm giving
If
you
something-
examples.
Right.
Well, right. I mean, you were suggesting if there was a catastrophic issue, we would be back here. And using your example, I was trying to explain that, yes, if there was a catastrophic issue, we would be back here. But instead of having a much larger gap to close, the gap would be smaller as long as city council continues to make appropriate level adjustments on an annual basis. So that was.
Yeah, that was part of the message that I got too, that it makes it more tenable to make smaller increments instead of, and it isn't like that would pay for a catastrophic fail. The idea is to maintain it so that you don't have a catastrophic fail. It's like having to pay for your oil changes to keep bad things from happening to your car. And if you skip a bunch of them or you skimp on them, you may end up having something with. So it's a huge thing, and it is, and there is nobody who would ever accuse me of not caring about people and about people in need ever, and yet I have been elected to take on this responsibility to make sure that what we have here is safe and maintained. And having seen what has happened in other places that do not take care of business, I do not want to be in those news articles, as was said.
Well,
So-
I certainly appreciate all of the discussion, and I feel like we're starting to repeat some things
Yes.
over and over.
Yes.
Yep.
So I, at this moment, would entertain a motion by whomever and wherever you're feeling.
I'd make a motion to approve the resolution 2023-3499 to adopt ordinance 2023-03 to amend section 42-201 and 42-202, parentheses 3 of chapter 42 of the city code to adjust water rates in the city of Cadillac by 3%. Nope, I had to try.
I think it's irresponsible to take a year off. You might not have seen the worst of the inflationary pressures. You might not have seen the worst of the
Just hear my
recession.
last motion.
I'm not going to support that.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no support for that motion?
Is there no more public comment on it?
Sorry.
So I will make a motion to approve the resolution 2023-3499 to adopt ordinance 2023-03 to amend section 42-201 and 42-2023 of chapter 42 of the city code to adjust water rates in the city of Cadillac 5%.
Support.
Councilmember King, Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
No.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. And so then we are going to open the floor for public comment. So you'll have an opportunity to speak. Public comment in regards to the adjustment on the sewer rates.
And Mayor, members of the city council, and general public as well, it's the same level of rate adjustment that's being proposed,
Yes, thank you.
just as a reminder. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kelly McCann. I live in the 3rd Ward. Let me write my name down. Okay, I'll try again. I understand a lot more about this now that I came, so I'm really glad that I did come. And I also understand about taking care of things over time. I'm not exactly clear if this 5% is every single year now. It's going to be 5%. Because what I was suggesting was that you do 3% every year for an indefinite, you just promise to cap it at 3%, and you do 3% every year. Over time, if this is just a reserve fund to take care of things, I don't see why, you can't do that. I know you're not going to do it today, but think about it for the future. If you're going to really be long-term, then change it in a long-term way that's beneficial. And I think 3% is reasonable. I think 5% is not reasonable. And the other thing I would say about, the analytic company that did this for you, they're making projections, and projections are just mathematical models. And they change based on what you put into them. So when they give you a recommendation of 5% to 7%, that's just their recommendation on their best information. And right now, we've been in a high inflationary period, and that's true. But we aren't going to stay there. I'm pretty sure we're not going to stay there. Hope we don't stay there. But most people don't get a 5% raise every year, or even a 3% raise. So that's why I'd like you to consider that. And I did have a little misconception because I thought it was going to be 5% this year. Then you're going to put 5% on top of that, 5% on top of that, going into the future. And I thought that's what Mr. Owen was saying because of his model that he was showing. So perhaps this year you should consider that in the next budget for the following year to do a more permanent, low-level, constant rate increase. And then that way, you don't have a room full of mad people because it's gone up 10% or keeps going up 5% every year. Okay, thanks.
I agree with Council Member Allenboss, and I disagree with the inclination to believe that we have a catastrophe headed our way. The likelihood of catastrophes, God forbid a terrorist attack or war in our homeland, are probably not as great as we all fear. We hear the word and we get scared out of our boots. Wow, we better pass it. It's got to pass. We could have a catastrophe. It's probably not likely at all. Recommendations are recommendations based on analytics, as you said, from professionals that do this for a living. However, with the effects of COVID, the recession that we very well could be entering into, and the likelihood that things aren't going to get a whole lot better quicker, and that they're probably going to get worse quicker than get better sooner. So, yeah, I recommend not wholeheartedly that we don't raise it anything, but maybe perhaps half, 2.5 to 3%. And we got to quit getting scared out of our boots when terms like catastrophe or the potentiality for things that could be horrible that would, I mean, you did say we have a solid water treatment system, right? You did say that. And it's been solid. We have a good system. It's working great. We can keep it that way, but let's let the citizens of Cadillac, go easy on us. Many of us are on fixed incomes. I am myself. I'm a one-income family. And we've lived in Cadillac for almost 40 years now. And there has to be some respect for the citizens of the city, the burdens that are placed on them, regardless of what studies you may have during hard times. There are tough decisions to make. Maybe this is one of them. But go easy on the citizens. We deserve it. Thank you.
I'm Duncan Cleeson, and I'd like to speak in favor of the rate increase on the sewer rates based on the study that was provided. Tonight I've heard kind of two proposals, a study that was done by experts in the field that said to keep and maintain the system in the city at the level it needs to be and to have the appropriate reserves and to take care of the infrastructure, you need 5%. I've heard a proposal of 3 to 3.5% without any financial analysis to back it up that says that's the right number. And again, I think your fiscal responsibility is to all 4,000 ratepayers in the city to make sure that we have a quality system and maintain that system for the long haul. So again, I believe your fiscal responsibility is to then approve the resolution, to provide the appropriate funding to keep the system the way it is today. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and move to the council.
I've said enough.
I appreciated your presentation, Owen. In there, you mentioned that we shedded an employee 3 years ago in the water department that we didn't replace. Did we decide to do that for fiscal reasons or because it wasn't necessary to keep that employee, or would we still very much like to have that employee?
Purely financial. Yep.
But yes, we would love to have that employee back. So.
I think the only thing, that would have been helpful, and maybe we should still do it after the fact, and we do a lot of presentations, you do a great job, but maybe one just with the water and sewer fund. It is a, what's the word? Enterprise fund, thank you, yes. The rates come in, the money stays in a separate pot. It doesn't mingle with the general fund. So maybe, it might help council and the public be informed if we had, a full-on water and sewer budget presentation before.
Yeah.
Or even, like I said, after the fact. It's probably still not a waste of time to do sometime in the future, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't have anything.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution 2023-3498 to adopt ordinance 2023-4 to amend section 42-374 of chapter 42 of the city code to adjust sewer rates in the city of Cadillac 5%.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
No.
Ingalls.
Yes.
King. Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. All right, so that takes us to the third public hearing for this evening. Marcus, would you like to introduce that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight's final public hearing is with respect to the consideration of our annual general appropriations ordinance. City Council had the full presentation. Was it at the last meeting, Owen?
The budget public
Yeah.
hearing was April 17th.
And so this is the final step, which is another public hearing and then consideration. There's no additional presentation from administration on this.
Okay. So at this time, we'll open this public comment for the public hearing regarding our new budget in the upcoming year. Not seeing anybody, we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to a motion or discussion of the council.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2023-3500 to adopt ordinance 2023-05 establishing General Appropriations Act for fiscal year 2024.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Carrie, we've got quite a few communications for this evening.
We do. We have, the first one is for the, a banner. It's from the Wexford County Veteran Services. They would request to have a banner displayed from July 24th to the 31st.
I'll make a motion to approve display of a banner from July 24th through the 31st, 2023 for County Veteran Services.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Next, we have a Memorial Day Parade. The Cadillac Honor Guard is requesting to have a Memorial Day Parade on May 29th, 2023.
I'd make a motion to approve the parade route for the Memorial Day Parade on May 29th, 2023.
Support.
Councilmember King, Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Next, we have Festival of the Arts. We have a banner request to have a banner displayed from July 17th through the 24th, as well as street closures from July 20th through the 22nd, and also the serving of alcoholic beverages at the market from 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on July 21st for the Festival of the Arts.
Okay, I see that there's a representative from the festival here. Did you want to say anything to the council?
Just here to answer questions.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve the display of a banner from July 17th to the 24th, 2023. The requested street closures from July 20 to 22nd, 2023, and the serving of alcoholic beverages at the market from 5:30 to 9 p.m. on July 21st, 2023 for the Festival of the Arts.
Support.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
We have also a request for street closures for After 26 on July 29th for the After 26 Music Festival.
I'd make a motion to approve the requested street closures on July 29th, 2023 for the After 26 Music Festival.
Support.
Councilmember Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Shippers.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, and then we have one appointment this evening.
We have a application from Gary Van Houten to be a member on the Cadillac Housing Commission for a 5-year term to expire on May 15th, 2028.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Gary Van Houten to the Cadillac Housing Commission for a 5-year term to expire on May 15th, 2028.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes, motion carries. It's exciting to see a new volunteer coming onto one of our boards. It's great. Yeah, okay, city managers report.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. First couple of items are actually regarding our enterprise fund, the Water and Sewer Department. The first item is a recommendation regarding sanitary sewer patches. The Water and Sewer Fund budget does include a current appropriation for maintenance of sewer mains. We are in need of patching 2 sections of 8-inch of 8-inch sanitary main using an installation of cure-in-place type patches. We did go out for bid, received 3 bids. The recommendation this evening is to use the lowest bidder, Plumbers Environmental Services, Inc., out of Byron Center, Michigan, in the amount of $9,600. And the funds are available in the Water and Sewer Fund accordingly for this patchwork.
I'll make a motion to award the sanitary sewer main patches project to Plumbers, which is a very interesting name, Environmental Services in accordance with their bid.
Support.
Councilmember King? Shippers?
Yes.
Ellenboss?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Mayor Filkins?
Yes, motion carries. And that's plumbers with 2 M's, not a B.
Yeah.
No.
Plumber's plumber.
The next recommendation is regarding root control for our sewer mains. Root control is a primary tool that the department uses to clear roots from sewer main lines and will help prevent future backups. We did put this out for bid and received 1 bid from Duke's Root Control, Inc. in the amount of $17,028.15. Currently, in the current fiscal year, we have root control activities on 3,500 feet of 8-inch main, 980 feet of 18-inch main, and 850 feet of 24-inch main. The company does offer a 2-year warranty for their work and will retreat at their own expense any section of pipe that happens to plug up due to roots, or will refund 100% of the payment that they received to treat the specific section of pipe. The bid document that we put out also included a provision to award the current project and to authorize the successful contractor to perform this work for 3 subsequent fiscal years. And that is our recommendation this evening, which would be to award the contract to Duke's Root Control, Inc. To perform root control activities in the sanitary sewer mains for fiscal year 23 and the subsequent three fiscal years, subject to annual availability of annual appropriations and, of course, satisfactory performance of their work. Funds are available in the Water and Sewer Fund for these services.
Is this a on-call basis for 3 years? Whenever we need them, they'll come in and...
I don't think it's on call necessarily. They'll come out and do a section of pipe, but let Jeff.
We'll identify new sections that need the treatment, and then we'll arrange with them to come and do
Is
those
there a
sections.
limited amount of times they will come out and do this? I mean, you know,
Yeah, it's not a, I need you today, it's a scheduled thing that we'll actually identify the areas. We go through and we root cut regularly with our equipment. This, after you root cut, you put the stuff in, and the roots are tending to grow at that time to get back there, and they'll actually stop growing. They'll stop them, they'll suck that up, and they won't grow there anymore, so.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
So is this the price for the subsequent years too? Or no, they're gonna?
That's just this year's treatment.
So
Yep.
is it normal that we say go for 3 years?
Well,
mean-
I would say that it's unique in that we've identified the sections for this year. This is, again, it's a unique process, but it's a unique service that they provide with how they treat roots. And in fact, regularly, when municipalities are doing this in their systems, Duke's is the only bidder that does this process and provides the 2-year warranty, the guarantee where they'll come back and either redo it or give you your money back if anything happens in those sections. So this is something, we haven't used this for a long time. We've used it a
years.
little bit, but we're starting to use it more as an ongoing maintenance project. And because it is kind of a unique service where they're regularly the only bidder, we felt comfortable coming forward. It's not a blank check. It does have to have, it has to have an expense appropriation.
Okay.
So, rather than coming back 3 times, I guess we just thought, since it's unique, we bid it once, they were the only bidder. We can then just move quick in subsequent years and identify the spots, get them scheduled here to come and take care of it.
And it would save the cost of asking for bids
Yeah, the
each time.
bids, yep, a
Okay,
couple $100
that makes
each
sense.
time, yep.
Okay, that makes sense. I just hadn't seen something like this before.
Yeah, it's unique, yep.
Cool. I'll make a motion, oh, no, somebody else has something.
Have we used these people in the past then?
We have,
Okay, all right,
and they do a great job.
that's all you gotta say.
I'll make a motion to award the sewer main root control contract to Duke's Root Control, Inc. for fiscal year 2023 and the subsequent 3 fiscal years, subject to availability of annual appropriations and satisfactory performance of work.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Moving along, the next item is the item that was added this evening. Thank you for doing that. This is regarding the bird control system that is very much needed at the market at Cadillac Commons. As I reported out to City Council at your last meeting, due to the failure of the windscreen system at that facility, we now have a significant problem with birds that are nesting within it. As everybody on council knows, and I think a lot in the public know, we're in the process of seeking outside funding through a special grant opportunity, through a placemaking initiative to improve that facility, add in a overhead door type system, as well as some other new amenity features, including bathrooms. However, 1, there's no guarantee that we'll receive the funding, and 2, even if we were to get the funding, by the time we get the funding and then go through the necessary steps through the community development block grant process, it all but will equate to not having doors this current market season. Looking at not trying to cause any delay or any issues for any of the users for that space, whether it's the farmers market group or a graduation party or anybody, we really need to do something immediately. We were able to get in touch with a company called Michigan Wildlife Services, and what you have before you is a copy of their proposal that's attached to the council communication that was put together. Staff firmly believes, especially after the company came out and met on site, that they're adequate to rid our facilities of the bird situation that we have, and even at such point in time when we do have hopefully an overhead door system installed in place of the failed windscreens, the system would still be a good system to have in place, because oftentimes the door system is wide open, or the windscreens were wide open, especially on beautiful days.
And will the netting be able to tolerate when the heaters are on? Up above?
It should.
Yep, he certainly saw those, and it'll be enough above them, and it's kind of a wire mesh. So,
Okay.
because one of the things we talked through was, will any birds want to sit on top of those? But typically, if they're on, they'll get warm, and so that would naturally fend off any trying to build a nest on the top of those, the harder surface. But yes, that's a good question,
Okay.
and he was in the site and saw them and didn't have any concern with where the netting would be. And he also, I probably asked 12 times, if I asked it once, is this system discreet? Because the last thing we want to
We
do
don't wanna
is
see it.
clutter up what is a very nice facility. And he assured me that I've probably been under 100 places that has it, and you've never noticed it. So if you look up looking for it, you'll see it, but it won't draw attention. It's not sagging fishnet kind of stuff. It's very taut, and
So
it
it's
should
not
be-
possible for birds to get caught in the netting? Meaning, who's gonna get the birds out if they get caught in the
It's
netting?
3/4 inch mesh, so I suppose it's possible. Probably not for a pigeon, but for
Okay.
something smaller,
Alright.
potentially could maybe get caught in there, but
So you said that the gentleman from this company was here.
he was on
And
site.
I'm gonna go
yes.
back, I'm gonna go back to the heaters that
Yep.
are there. And if they can't get up in the rafters anymore,
They're gonna sit on the heaters.
will they sit on the heaters when they're not on?
Well, and that's that's the question, and we talked through a couple of options that we could add down the road. It's much less costly than the big project at the beginning. They have some things that create either sound waves, or there's some smell type things.
Just
Yeah,
Yeah, so-
I mean.
And there's no real, there's not like, 90-degree things there really where they can kind of build from each side. They're
Right,
really
and
pretty.
it's really not so much worried about them building their nest.
You have
They're
to
just
sit
gonna fly
there.
in there and poop.
Yeah.
And so, to put this $12,000 up above and then still have the issue on the heaters.
Yep,
I just wondered if we could
he
address
did
that.
see that, and, there's a potential, but based on, that they do produce heat, obviously, and there will be some natural deterrent there, but in those warm periods, but if you've resolved the nesting issues, that goes a long ways towards resolving, because there's no, food source consistently there, and there's no real place to nest, so.
I was gonna say, we also have specs on a sonic system as well.
Okay.
So if we had to move forward with that, because this isn't adequate, we can do that.
Okay.
But we thought this would be the best first step, trying to be
All right,
conservative without
Yeah.
without overkill.
Well, and he said it's the best first step because they've already nested there. The sonic systems would not be effective now, but to provide some supplemental control, then that's where there's some other options.
So do these folks take care of the birds that are already there?
That'll be on us.
Anybody have a big broom?
We're taking volunteers if anybody-
Need a big broom.
Brian, you busy next Tuesday?
That's got street department written on it.
No, our plan is, and in fact, I think we can cut down the quote a little bit by providing some lifts already. He said this is their cost if they either have to bring theirs or secure them. We would probably know their schedule and go in the day before and get it cleaned up before they close it in. And there's some zipper systems that they also install. So if we have to get up in there and change light bulbs or clean the windows in the future, it's very simple to provide an opening and get up in there.
Great.
So
Now the
yeah, good
proposal
question.
comes with a 1-year warranty. How long did he say the net would last? Like, how does this asset deteriorate up there? Just from getting pulled tight, that eventually it pulls apart? Is this a 5-year thing, a 10-year thing?
Well, he didn't say specifically, and that I will ask that question. That's a good question, but he did say they've installed this on behalf of Home Depot, Amazon warehouses, who are very picky with their schematics and specifications, and they have installed these at a number of those facilities.
Major corporations are using
Yep.
the same company.
So my interpretation of that is it's a really good product, or these other companies.
I
would-
checked out the website and I looked at some of their netting project. It looked
Yeah, I
top
did
notch,
the
so it looked
same.
very good.
So
If I may also add for council member and the public too, we do have just under $40,000 available within the project fund specific for that facility. The request this evening would be to go with Michigan Wildlife Services, Inc., to waive bidding to go with them, and to authorize the expenditure of $12,686.25. Those funds would come from the remaining project funds within the market account.
okay. So could we first have a motion to waive competitive bidding?
I'll make a motion to waive competitive bidding regarding bird netting.
Second?
That covered it.
Councilmember Ellenboss,
Yes.
Ingalls,
yes.
King, Shippers,
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Now I'll make a motion to authorize Michigan Wildlife Solutions to work as proposed at the marketplace at a total proposed cost of $12,686.25.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ingalls,
Yes.
King, Shippers,
Yes.
Ellenboss,
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
And I would just add, that would be a not to exceed, because we're, like I said, with the lifts, we may save some costs, and there might be a couple of the smaller sections where we don't need full coverage, so.
Do we have to change that, or is that okay?
No.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open the floor for our last public comment this evening.
Mayor Filkins, council members, my name is Paul Durkin. I am concerned about the condition of the sidewalks and also the potential that the sidewalks north of Cass Street may not be ADA compliant.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else, we'll close public comment and move to the good of the order if anyone should have anything.
I have a couple of things. The Cadillac Mayor's Youth Council will be meeting this Wednesday in these chambers at 3 o'clock. Please join us if you'd like, and join us if you're a youth to be a member. Also, isn't the parks cleanup this Saturday?
Yes.
So you'll see youth council members out at their garden in the parks area, and maybe you could give a little more information about that. Do you have any information about that? Who has information about that?
I got him.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
Look at that look. Uh-huh.
Well, it's from 9, it starts at 9
Yeah.
o'clock,
Yeah. Starts at 9 o'clock. I believe it goes till approximately noon. Is that right?
right?
9 to noon.
Look at it.
9 to noon.
9 to noon.
And
Meeting at Kenwood or where?
people can go wherever they
Where
would
they want,
like to
okay.
in the city.
Oh, okay, it's
And
changed.
they can
Okay.
volunteer their time. If there's a portion of the park that you really like and want to help us get cleaned up, do a little spring cleaning, we'll be bringing around hot chocolate and a treat of some sort.
Yes.
And saying hello to everyone. And if you can bring your rakes along, that's great. But we'll be providing the garbage bags and anything else that's needed. And so let's pray for a really beautiful morning and lots of volunteers coming out.
I just had one comment to make regarding sidewalks just in general in the downtown area. We are looking and working at putting together a sidewalk program yet this year to remove and replace all of the bricks in a certain area. And I want to say it might start from Chapin and go just north past Pine Street up to, I think, perhaps the Owl Eye Coffee area, but don't hold me on those.
I think you're right.
On that border. We're still trying to frame the project. We're working with an engaged group of downtown stakeholders on that project and looking at a special way of creating a funding mechanism to be able to move that forward sooner than later. We're just not quite yet to actually start that work, but our engineering firm has mentioned that when we do start it, it looks like it'll be maybe about a 3-week job on each side of Mitchell Street, so it won't be something that lingers on forever. The other thing I want to mention as well is it is an MDOT asset, even though the city is responsible for its maintenance. It is a state of Michigan right-of-way, and so we'll certainly need their cooperation as well in moving it forward. So
So I have a question. Where the trees were removed and there's the big cutout there, I think that may be where the distances aren't ADA. I'm not sure, I may be wrong. But I think that could be, are those going to remain open like that until the new sidewalk project, or is there gonna be a
thought they-
patch?
They've also, they've already been concrete.
They have been
Yeah,
concreted,
they've
okay,
been
good,
Cemented in.
good, thank you. I haven't been down there in a
And that was
when the
done
bricks
before
are-
the market stuff this past Saturday, sorry.
I was just gonna say, and when the bricks are removed, right now, the plan is just to put sidewalk cement back in. If down the road, we're looking at a full-scale streetscape project, that way it keeps it, you know, as sort of plain and as easy of a landscape to work on versus doing something more decorative now.
Are we gonna take all the trees out on the sidewalks downtown then?
No,
No, okay, just,
it was just those that were overgrown, and
Overgrown.
causing issues.
yeah, it looks nice. I'd hate to see them all go.
No, we don't
Okay.
wanna see them all go either.
Okay, very good.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well, we need to go into closed session this evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn to closed session for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement and invite Owen Roberts, Finance Director, to join
I'll
us.
second it.
Councilmember King, Shippers,
Yes?
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Session, please.
I'll make a motion to return to open session.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Shippers.
Yes.
Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
King and Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, Marcus?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. Lastly, this evening, I would like to request City Council's consideration regarding the approval of a tentative settlement agreement to make it not tentative any longer with the City of Cadillac and the Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council for the updates to their collective bargaining agreement. That'll take us through July 1, 2023 to June 30th, 2026. And anyone can simply make a motion to ratify that.
I'll make a motion to ratify the collective bargaining agreement with the Fraternal Order of Police and the City of Cadillac.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ellenboss.
Yes.
Ingalls. King. Shippers.
Yes.
And Mayor Filkins.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you, everybody.
With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Look at that, Chris.